Welcome. Hey guys, welcome to a segment of the Grind Never Stops podcast where we debate everything news, sports. Before we start today's segment, I want to thank everyone who has tuned in to all of my episodes since day one, and for all the 160 subscribers that I currently have on YouTube. Thanks for the love and support. And you haven't subscribed and want to help me get to 200 subs, the link is in the description. But let's start with today's segment. This is your host, DJ Joe. In today's segment, we're going to talk about Damian Lillard, aka Dame Time, as it was rumored as he will request a trade from the Trailblazers in the next couple of days. Before we get on to this drama, I want to remind you that all these allegations are not 100% true, and because it was started by the media in these couple days, and since the Blazers got bounced by the playoffs once again by the Denver Nuggets. But that doesn't mean that we will move on with this segment, because it might be true. But the reason I say it's not true is because it did not come from the man himself, Damian Lillard. But let's get on. So as you guys know, Damian Lillard is an all-star point guard for the Blazers. He got drafted by the Blazers in the 2012 NBA draft, 6th overall selection, and ever since, he has owned the trademark Dame Time. But the Dame Time seemed to not work in the playoffs when he goes to round 2 or round 3. And he also won Rookie of the Year by default in his first season in the league. But he's a 6-time All-Star, and he's also one of 2 players to become an All-Star 6 times, joining another legend, as you guys all know, Clyde Drexler. So now I refresh you guys who Dame Dalla is. But now let's get on to the real stuff. The Blazers have the right players to get to the Blazers want to go, but it seems once the stage gets bigger, everyone falls apart, and I mean everyone. Like, how can you get bounced against a team that doesn't have their all-star point guard in Jamal Murray? Like, how does that work in your damn mind? You talking Terry Stotts getting fired, Dame getting traded? You got to be kidding me, guys. And I don't get it why they bench Enes Kanter, the Turkish beast, over Nurkic, who Nurkic has been Derrick Rose injury prone, and as soon as he came back, you put him back in the lineup and put Kanter back to the bench. Man, Kanter was beasting all season long in the boards since they got him, and he was a great screener for Dame and CJ and Melo. But it seems the Blazers were also and always known to make bad decisions on and off the court, because I still do not understand why you would trade your 2 best bench players in the last couple seasons for a starter who isn't a pure scorer yet. But why would you do that? And Norman Powell has had great games in the playoffs for the Raptors, but he's not that guy. He's not that guy. And this is no disrespect to Norman Powell. The man can ball, but you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot trade 2 players who are doing something for your bench for a guy that isn't efficient on the floor and isn't a pure scorer. And the Blazers have, in their history of the franchise, they never had great players off the bench. But Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood were great players off the bench for the Blazers. And Gary Trent Jr. stepped up big when CJ was out this season and last season, especially in the bubble. And Trent played some great defense in the bubble in the playoffs. And Rodney Hood was injured at the beginning of last season, this season. But you have to remember back in 2019, Rodney Hood averaged 16 plus points in the playoffs. And he was the reason why the Blazers beat the Nuggets that year. And Rodney Hood still could have been a great 3-and-D player for the Blazers, but I just think the Blazers are always making bad decisions, because another reminder is that they let Matthews walk, LaMarcus Aldridge walk, Nicholas Batum walk. They let them walk like they were nothing. And that team was a great team, gentlemen. Lillard, Matthews, LaMarcus Aldridge, Batum, and imagine they kept those guys and had Cantor, and they kept Hassan Whiteside, who is better than Nurkic. That would have been a team, but the management is horrible. Not only the coach, but this isn't only about Damian Lillard, because I understand why it was true to request a trade out of Portland. But now, let's talk if this was true and that he really wants out and has requested a trade. So guys, what happened to us being grinders and competitive? And I'm not saying Lillard is not a grinder or competitive. He always gives his all, on and off the court, and works damn hard to become the Dame Time Master. But why would you request a trade? What happened to us being loyal? What happened to us shitting on managers for not being loyal to their true stars? And it's not like the Blazers are trash and have nobody. Should we remind you, gentlemen, that they have one of the best and upcoming shooting guards in Norman Powell, Norm the Storm, and CJ Bucket McCollum. And they have one of the best pure scorers in this era in Carmelo Anthony, who plays off the bench. He should start, not play off the bench. Like, they still have great players, but the problem is that they always seem to fall when the stage gets bigger. And all they're missing is that one guy. That one guy who doesn't shrink in the playoffs and who can get buckets when you need it in the clutch. And obviously there are many on the market that the Blazers can do. And we will talk about free agents in another segment once the NBA Finals conclude. But the Blazers are afraid of the grind. And that's who we are. We are the Grind Never Stops podcast. But for Dame, it's his decision. But as you guys all know, every decision comes with consequences, in which we'll talk about now. The next 4 superstars I'm going to tell you, and I'll tell you the consequence. Look how LeBron James left Cleveland in the 2009-2010 season, and even to this day, he still gets criticized for leaving Cleveland and telling the world on TV that he will join a superstar with Hall of Famer Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Even though he won in Cleveland, even though he won in Los Angeles, even though he won in Miami, he still gets criticized. Still. And look at Kawhi Leonard left the Toronto Raptors after winning the chip and beating the Warriors in 6. He has now lost in back-to-back playoffs with the Clippers because he thought Pandemic P was the guy. Because he is not that guy. And look at Kevin Durant, left Oklahoma City Thunder. Yes, he won a chip with the Warriors, but he still gets criticized, still gets hated by not only fans, but current NBA players. And look at Kyrie Irving. What has he done since he requested a trade out of Cleveland after the 2017 season? What has he done? Nothing. He wanted to lead a team on his own, and in the end, he hasn't done anything close to that. The only thing that he has done is going on social media and saying some next level shit that has nothing to do with the game of basketball. And that's what Kyrie Irving has done since he requested a trade out of Cleveland following the 2017 finals. He hasn't reached the finals since then. He hasn't done much since then. Like, what has he done, gentlemen? What has he done, Kyrie Irving? Nothing. So if Damian Lillard wants to leave, he will get criticized. He will face another angry exit to the playoffs. But it's his decision. But we know that if the Blazers can get one guy one defensive guy, and a good coach and better management, the Blazers and Lillard will get wherever they want to go, which is the NBA Finals. Because, guys, like, who would the Blazers were to face in these playoffs? A team without their all-star point guard Jamal Murray? So the only guy you have to guard well is Nikola Jokic, the guy who's 300 pounds and the MVP? You're kidding me. And then a team with no Kawhi Leonard and no Serge Ibaka and only Pandemic P? Or a team that has Devin Booker, who's young, and a veteran Chris Paul? Man, this is just abysmal, because they had a chance to reach the finals this season. But that trade of Norman Powell did not help them. They were still the same team. But we need more loyal players in this league. Because every time a superstar lose, he wants out. But what happened to the grind? What happened to working hard in the offseason? Because you have to fail to succeed. Man. But guys, my opinion, Lillard shouldn't request a trade. And if it's true, I'm really disappointed. Because I like Dame. He's a baller. But if he wants to take the Kawhi, KD, Kyrie, LeBron James route, it's going to be a tough up and coming seasons for Damian Lillard. Because he will get hated. The momentum that his skill will go down. Because once you're starting, you request trade out or you sign with another team, they always start on a bad note. But maybe that will be different by Dame. But Dame is not that type of player who can carry, who can grab 50 rebounds a night, get 10. No, that's not that player. Dame Lillard is the Curry kind of player, similar to his game. But for the teams that want him, that would be good for him. So I'll give you my opinion. My team, Philadelphia, we could use him. Get rid of that bum Simmons and have Dame play with Embiid. Lillard will score 40 points off the dribble easy and have Embiid do his thing. Another team, Toronto, is one. Get rid of Lowry and the top pick of this season and next for Damian Lillard and have him play with Fred VanVleet and have him play with Spicy P, because that's what Spicy P was missing. He didn't have that guy to help him. And Lakers is another team. Get rid of Schroeder, who's a garbage player. Kuzma does not show up in games. And Matthews, who's old, for Damian Lillard and a pick for Dame. That could be a good team. Have him play with AD, LeBron, and Dame, just like Space Jam 2. Another one is Clipperland. Get rid of Pandemic B, Marcus Morris, and Ivaki Zubac for Lillard and Enes Kanter. Every team could use him. We can go on a list of all 29 teams that can use him. But you don't want him to join a team like Brooklyn and having 50 stars in the starting lineup. No. You're just gonna ruin your legacy, everything you have built. But guys, I am really disappointed of hearing this, even if it's true or not true. But guys, that's it for today's segment. Make sure to tune in tomorrow afternoon for a recap of the Bucks and Suns Game 4, and we preview Game 5, which is tomorrow night in Phoenix on ABC, as the Bucks and Suns are looking for a win to take a 3-2 series lead, because Game 6 will be in Milwaukee. But once anything happens with Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers, we will talk about it. But guys, thanks for tuning in to a segment of the Grind Never Stops podcast. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and check us out on Spotify and all of your podcast platforms. And to send us your donations. All a link will be in the description. This is your host, DJ Joe, signing out.